In this video I'm going to fake my own voice. Will you notice the difference between my natural voice and its artificial clone then? In the next minutes I'm gonna try different open source programs and a commercial service as well. So stick around. But how does voice cloning actually work? In simple terms, it involves training an AI model with samples of the voice to be cloned. I don't want to delve into the math and the concepts behind it. These are hard to grasp like everything in the realm of AI and deep learning. Basically, a text-to-speech model has to accomplish the following tasks. First of all, it must understand the meaning of the input text. For example, this word can be pronounced like lead in the context of leadership. And it can be pronounced like lead when we are talking about a toxic heavy metal. Second, the model has to deal with pronunciation and prosody. And third, it must synthesize the output waveform that's finally played back. Text-to-speech software is based on neural networks, and these mimic a brain in software. So they can learn new things just like a newborn child. A baby learns to speak by listening to thousands of sentences, linking them to their meaning and imitating the phonemes until it can talk. And so does a TTS model. So you can imagine that a TTS model needs hours of training data until it can speak properly. These training datasets consist of thousands of audio recordings and their transcriptions. Here is, for example, the LJ Speech dataset. LJ Speech is a public domain dataset with over 13,000 spoken text passages from different books. Have a listen.
But for the beauty of the earlier work, they might have seemed tolerable.
But would I go through the hassle of recording all those sentences? Not really.
No! God,
But
please,
hold on,
no!
there are pre-trained TTS models around that need only a few seconds of voice data.
Nice.
I have just opened the Hugging Face AI community homepage. There we can find all kind of AI related stuff. I enter XTTS into the search field and under spaces I click on Coqui XTTS. And there we get to an online demo of the XTTS text-to-speech and voice cloning model. So here is the text we want XTTS to read. In the drop-down menu below we can choose one of many languages. And below that is a pre-recorded voice sample of 11 seconds.
The Hispaniola was rolling scuppers under in the ocean swell.
But I wanna try that with my own voice now. I can either upload an existing recording as a reference voice or record it with a microphone. It's important to have a good audio quality and no background noise. If there is background noise, we can get rid of it by checking the cleanup option here. There we go. This is a sample of my voice that I've made for voice cloning. Let's fool my viewers with my fake voice. Will they notice? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Let's find out. Now I'm going to test Coqui in terms of its semantic capabilities. I'll use this sentence as a challenge. Again we have the words lead and led, which have different meanings but are written in the same way. Let's see how well Coqui can tell lead from led.
Please hold the line. Bitte warten Sie. Restez en ligne, s'il vous plaît. Mantenga la linea, por favor.
The generation takes around 40 seconds, but I'm using my magic time shifter to make it faster for you.
Eating even small amounts of lead can lead to lead poisoning. Recently, my cat died from lead poisoning because she ate all my leaded solder wire. I'm so sad now because I don't have a cat anymore. Oh my God. To me that sounds like a British guy who thinks he's something better. And how does this sound to you? Write in the comments. Well, Coqui did not always distinguish lead from lead correctly, didn't it? Well, we ought to try another voice cloning model. Let's evaluate Tortoise TTS now.
Unfortunately, I found no suitable Hugging Face space, so I had to run it on my own computer. But AI models require powerful hardware with even more powerful NVIDIA GPUs. I don't have such a fancy PC, but luckily I found Google Colab as an alternative. Google Colab is a virtual Linux environment on the web where you can type your code, run it, and see the results in a browser. Colab is especially interesting for anyone who messes with large amounts of data and needs to do complex computations. The code is hand-led in so-called notebooks. There it is broken down into functional cells that can be executed independently. So here is a Colab notebook that runs Tortoise TTS. But before we can use it for voice cloning, we need to choose a GPU for the runtime. GPU usage costs what Google calls compute units. The T4 costs about 2 units per hour, while the more powerful V100 costs about 5 and the fancy A100 burns even 13 per hour. But my tests have shown that the two premium GPUs don't bring that much of an advantage, so I use the T4. Tortoise comes with a bunch of default voices from different speakers. These are located in the Voices folder below the Tortoise directory. Every sample consists of 3 up to 5 numbered WAV or MP3 files of 10 to 15 seconds each. To add my own voice there, I export the last 4 recordings of what I've just said from my video editing program as WAV files. Then I start a cell in the Colab notebook that opens a file dialog where I select and open the files. After the import has finished, the files show up in a new folder named Custom. Now we can start generation. Here is again the text we want to read. Tortoise can do this in 4 qualities: ultra fast, fast, standard, and high quality. I try with high quality, make sure that the custom voice is set here, and start the notebook cell. This will take more than 5 minutes, so there is enough time to smash that like button and subscribe to not miss anything. Now as you've done this, I start the magic time shifter again to skip forward.
Eating even small amounts of lead can lead to lead poisoning. Recently, my cat died from lead poisoning because she ate all my leaded solder wire. I am so sad now because I don't have a cat anymore. And what do you think? Is there any similarity to my natural voice? Write in the comments. Tortoise, as its name implies, is a very slow and also resource-hungry model. Now let's move on to the next model. Here's a notebook that runs a Bark with a user interface. After installation, it provides a link that I can open in a browser. Originally, Bark did not have a cloning option. This was added later by clever people. For cloning, 10 seconds of audio sample is enough, so I import the audio file I've already used for the Koki XTTS model. There it is.
This is a sample of my voice that I've made for voice cloning.
Here, I can change the custom name of the voice below. I leave it as it is and click on Create Voice. This takes about 45 seconds on the T4 GPU. After training has finished, a new file with the ending point NPZ appears here. Then we need to restart the runtime to make it available to the web UI. So we get a new entry in the Voices drop-down menu where I can select this voice. Now we're ready to try some of the examples. There's a strange behavior that when I hover the mouse over one of the phrases, everything turns white. But after clicking on it, it appears in the input text field. What's unique about Bark is that it can also generate emotional expressions like laughing, sighing, and so on. But I'm using my test phrase instead, and insert my size there. I uncheck the quick generation checkbox in the hope of a better quality. Let's see how long it takes. This took 75 seconds. Now listen.
Eating even small amounts of lead can lead to lead poisoning. Recently, my cat died from lead poisoning because she ate all my leaded solder wire. I'm so sad now because I don't have a cat anymore. That sounds sad, doesn't it? Bark can also express emotion. Now listen to this. Recently I got a new cat. He's always playing and purring and making me laugh. I'm so happy again. Let's play with these temperature sliders. The generation temperature affects the variability of the prosody and intonation of the generated speech. The waveform temperature affects the variability of the voice, including its pitch, for example. See what happens when I crank them both all the way up. Recently, I got a new cat. He's always playing and purring.
And making me laugh. I'm so happy again. That sounded more exaggerated or theatrical, didn't it? And instead of actually laughing, it said, I'm making laugh. This is not exactly what I did expect. And making me laugh. Vice versa, a lower temperature sounds more monotonous. Okay, that was too low. Some try and error has shown that the minimum is between 0.3 and 0.4. There we go. Recently, I got a new cat. He's always playing and purring and making... This time, the end of the text and the laughter are missing. And there are long pauses between some words. So, from what I've found so far, it's best to leave the temperature sliders at their default values. There's a third setting, but I have no idea what it does. And there's little to no documentation, so I don't touch it.
All the bug voices we have heard so far bear little or no resemblance to my own voice. So I dare to say that what they call voice cloning is more like random voice generation. The sound quality is also quite poor. Everything sounds a bit distorted, like an overdriven amplifier. At the end I'm gonna try a commercial service. I've chosen ElevenLabs since it's one of the most popular ones. This video was not sponsored by ElevenLabs, but it was sponsored by PCBWay. Whatever your project, PCBWay may be the right partner for you. All you need to do is upload the Gerber files to their website, submit the order, and a few days later you will receive these high quality PCBs. And they only cost $5. Assembling them is fun and super easy. Here I'm soldering a tiny chip about the size of a grain of rice. And the result looks pretty cool, doesn't it? And PCBWay does not just make PCBs. They also offer CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, 3D printing and injection molding. So check them out. I go to Instant Voice Cloning to upload my voice sample. ElevenLabs says that samples longer than 5 minutes bring only little improvement. So I upload the first 5 minutes of this video's voiceover. Then I call it Voice 1 and confirm that I'm not going to do anything bad with it. Optionally, we can enter some labels and a description here, but I leave this empty.
Please hold the line. Bitte warten Sie. Restez en ligne, s'il vous plaît. Mantenga la ligne.
And after only a few seconds, the voice is ready to use. To my big surprise, generation takes only a few seconds. Eating even small amounts of lead can lead to lead poisoning. Recently, my cat died from lead poisoning. I'm so sad now because I don't have a cat anymore. Unlike the other methods I've shown, ElevenLabs seems to imitate my voice quite well. But it sounds a bit monotonous to me, but the way I read my voiceover from the script tends to be monotonous as well.
Oh no.
However, this was just a quick test, and it can certainly be improved by finding the optimal parameter settings and perhaps a more vivid spoken voice sample. I've already used ElevenLabs with different settings in this video. Can you guess where? And which voice should I use for my future videos? Your comments are highly appreciated. Thank you for watching.